Placing your focus in the right place, whether you're practicing on the range or performing in a tournament or on the golf course, it's so important to get the focus in the right area. When we're looking at focus, we can kind of break them down into two sections. We can be focused on internal things and we can be focused on external things. So internally, let's say I'm stood over the shot, I'm thinking about getting my lead shoulder down and to the right by the time I reach the top of my backswing. Or I might be thinking of making sure I get more pressure or enough pressure into my lead side by the moment of impact. Externally, we could also be just thinking about, okay, whereabouts do I want to hit the ball on the club face? Where do I want that club face pointing at the moment of impact? They're more external things. Thinking about just ball flight as well. What ball flight am I trying to create? So it's important to have a look at those two areas. And when you are playing your best, have a think, what was I focusing on that day? And then go towards spending more time in that area of focus. But there is a couple of ideas that can guide you. When we're first learning a movement, it's often very common to spend a little bit more time over here in the internal side of things. So to take the example of the pressure trace, let's say we're hitting behind the ball. We want to get our pressure more forward. It's normal for us to then focus a little bit internally about our lower body. Where is that pressure? But it's so important to always link your internal swing thought or your internal focus to the external. So if you're moving your pressure forward, make sure to focus on, I'm moving my pressure forward in order to hit the ground later in the swing. Another example is maybe the grip. Maybe you're working on strengthening your lead hand at setup. So it's important to say, well, I'm strengthening my lead hand, which is sort of an internal focus, because I want to get this club face a little bit more square or maybe a little bit more shut at the moment of impact. So by linking your internal and external thoughts together can often make it a lot more effective. When playing on the golf course, there's a lot of evidence and research to back up that it's a lot better to be hanging out in the external side of things when you're performing. So getting your mind really locked into the ball flight you're hitting, getting your mind locked into your target line. But there's also instances where if we're in a situation on the golf course that makes us nervous, let's say we're hitting over water, sometimes focusing on our target and that external outcome actually tightens us up, makes us more nervous, makes it more difficult to put a good swing on it. In those instances, it can be really helpful to get more internal. Focus on completing your backswing, maybe getting that lead shoulder under your chin at the top of the swing, or focusing on getting your pressure to your left through impact. So taking your mind away from the outcome and a little bit more internally or into the process can be really helpful when you're in situations on the course that puts you under a bit more pressure than normal. But like everything in golf, it's important to take the ideas, put them into practice and see what works best for you. I've worked with players that play their best golf focusing on internal movements and players that play their best when they're focusing just on where they're striking the golf club and the ball flight they're trying to hit. So give both a try, and don't forget you can sometimes blend them both together as well.